Hello there. Welcome back. My name is Tyler. Thanks for stopping by the Bible study. We as a community have been reading a chapter out of the New Testament every day. Today we're reading 1 Corinthians 7, Principles of Marriage, Keep Your Marriage Vows, to the unmarried and widows. And, oh my goodness, this is a long one. That's all. I don't really have a lot to say. This is quite a long chapter, so I think we should just skip the yapping and just get right into it. 1 Corinthians 7, Principles of Marriage, and it starts, "Now concerning the things of which you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render his wife the affection due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another, except with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. But I say this as a concession, not as a commandment. For I wish that all men were even as myself, but each one has his own gift from God, one in this manner, and another in that. But I say to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they remain even as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion." Pause. So, the first time I was listening through this, it struck a wrong chord with me, because Paul is saying it's better to be like I am, to be single, so that you may give yourself fully to God. Which, there's one big thing that I didn't take into consideration when listening to this, is that there is context behind this passage that I don't know about in terms of Corinthians 7. I'm assuming there's a lot of sexual immorality, so he's telling them that it's good to be unmarried and give yourselves full to the Lord. And it's also telling them that it is better to be married to somebody than to burn in lust. So, but I didn't like how you were saying it's better to stay single if you're single, because I feel that there's a lot of benefits to being married, more than just meeting sexual needs, because that's kind of the big focus. But then again, that's the context that I'm missing, because he's talking about sexual immorality. However, I thought to myself, a lot of the benefits of being married, especially to a godly partner, you have a prayer partner, you have a study partner, you have a serving partner, you have a church partner, you have someone to build a family, a godly family, and raise godly children with. You have a disciple partner, like a discipleship partner. You have so many things that can benefit your relationship with the Lord with a partner. And the idea of a marriage and the purpose of a marriage, from what I understand, is to reflect the kingdom of heaven, the love of the kingdom of heaven on earth. It's to reflect that. The husband is meant to give his life daily to the bride, and the bride is meant to serve the husband, and they're raising children and starting a family. It's like a symbol of Christ giving his life, and the church serving Christ, but then Christ loving the church. And it's supposed to be this big, and a wedding itself is a representation of the wedding in heaven, the wedding feast that we will all be a part of, where you have the marriage ceremony where the husband and the bride, the groom and the bride, they come together as one, which is what happened with us, because we are Jesus' bride. We will become one with him in heaven, and then there will be a big celebration and feast, just like the modern day marriage, like the traditional marriage. So I feel that it would have benefited if Paul put that in here, if that makes sense. That's my gripe with it, is that there's it's good to be single, and not a lot of, these are the benefits of being married if you choose to be married. Anyways, that was some yapping, but I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. We're going to resume on verse 10. Now to the married, I command, yet not I, but the Lord, a wife is not to depart from her husband. But even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And a husband is not to divorce his wife. But to the rest I, not the Lord, say, if any brother has a wife who does not believe, and she is willing to live with him, let him not divorce her. And a woman who has a husband who does not believe, if he is willing to live with her, let her not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Otherwise your children would be unclean, but now they are holy. But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God has called us to peace. For how do you know, O wife, whether you will save your husband? Or how do you know, O husband, whether you will save your wife? Now pause. There is one thing that I should point out. He says, to the rest I, not the Lord, says. He says that. So he specifies that it is I, not the Lord, who says this. Verse 17. But as God has distributed to each one, as the Lord has called each one, so let him walk. And so I ordain in all the churches. Was anyone called while circumcised? Let him not be uncircumcised. Was anyone called while uncircumcised? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing. But keeping the commandments of God is what matters. Let each one remain in the same calling which he was called. Were you called while a slave? Do not be concerned about it, but if you can be made free, rather use it. For he who is called in the Lord while a slave is the Lord's freedman. Likewise, he who is called while free is Christ's slave. You were bought at a price. Do not become slaves of men. Brethren, let each one remain with God in that state which he was called. So he's saying, when you are called, you don't need to go circumcise yourself. You don't need to go get circumcised if you're called by God. Verse 24 says, let each one remain with God in the state in which he was called. 25. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment from the Lord, yet I give judgment as one whom the Lord in his mercy has made me trustworthy. I suppose, therefore, that this is good because of the present distress, that it is good for a man to remain as he is. Are you bound to a wife? Do not seek to be loosed. Are you loosed from a wife? Do not seek a wife. But even if you do marry, you have not sinned. And if a virgin marries, she has not sinned. Nevertheless, such will have trouble in the flesh, but I would spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short, so that from now on, even those who have wives should be as though they had none. Those who weep as though they did not weep. Those who rejoice as though they did not rejoice. Those who buy as though they did not possess. And those who use this world as not misusing it. For the form of this world is passing away. Okay. I don't understand. Someone please help me. 28, 29, 30. If you're reading out of a different translation, please can you just cite it? 28, 29, and 30, because I don't know. Verse 32. But I want you to be without care. He who is unmarried cares for the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he who is married cares about the things of the world, how he may please his wife. Not true. I don't know. I don't see, this is where I'm having struggles. Verse 33, he who is married cares about the things of the world, how he may please his wife. Okay, you know what? I take that back. That is true. Because I took my girlfriend to a baseball game, and that's a pretty worldly thing. This is a conundrum. Maybe the Holy Spirit is talking to me right now. See, I just don't get it, man. You can still care for the things of the Lord and please the Lord while being in a married relationship. In fact, I think it might be, I don't know. This is just, the back and forth turmoil. Man, what do you guys think? Help me out here. I'm just having a time, you know? I'm just having a time. But anyways, this is a long chapter. Verse 34. There is a difference between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and spirit. But she who is married cares about the things of the world, and how she may please her husband. And this I say for your own profit, not that I may put a leash on you, but for what is proper, and that you may serve the Lord without distraction. But if any man thinks he is behaving improperly towards his virgin, if she is past the flower of youth, and thus it must be, let him do what he wishes. He does not sin. Let them marry. Nevertheless, he who stands steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but has power over his own will, and has so determined in his heart that he will keep his virgin, does well. So then he who gives her in marriage does well, but he who does not give her in marriage does better. A wife is bound by law as long as her husband lives, but if her husband dies, she is at liberty to be married to whom she wishes, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she remains as she is, according to my judgment. And I think I also have the Spirit of God. Well, that is chapter 7. There's some things that I just don't agree with, and some things that that I'm wrestling with. She is happier if she remains as she is, according to my judgment. I don't know. This one, when I listened to it for the first time, I kind of had the same reactions, like, what? Does Paul not understand the beauty of being married and having a relationship with a God-fearing woman? Is that the kind of experience that he's writing from? Because I feel that if there was a Paul that was married and a Paul that was, him writing normally, I feel that they would write different things. I mean, they might write both from both perspectives, but I don't think he would write this if he was married. He wouldn't write it in this way. He would write it similarly, in my opinion, but he would also talk about, okay, married folk, this is what you should do. This is what, if you're married like I am, this is what we should do. Pray with each other, pray for each other, build a God-fearing family, read the word together, serve each other, serve with each other, things like that. But, like I said before, there's context that we don't fully have. So, I could be just completely taking this out of context. Please let me know. This chapter is a doozy, and I need your help. But anyways, this video is probably really long, so I'm just going to stop yapping. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Let's just start a conversation. Tomorrow will be chapter 8, and until then, we'll see ya.